All right, welcome to CapeCast. We've got a full house here tonight. Gotta love it when Britt makes it on the show. Britt, how you doing?
Doing well, man. You doing good?
Yeah, you sound
Doing
sultry on
great.
that mic
Oh,
there.
I've been working on my settings and whatnot.
Britt, your beard is back too.
Yeah.
It's back,
beard.
man. It's back.
Yeah. With a vengeance.
We'll see. I've got a lot of people saying I need to cut it off, but as of now, it's still here.
You be you. All right. Yeah.
Now I know how Brandon feels about my hair. Britt's beard.
Yeah.
I could grow a beard if I wanted to. They're itchy.
Yeah, it takes a little while. You got to get over that phase, and then you're good to go.
Brandon even shaved off the beard last week. It was a jarring experience.
Yeah, you gotta take it off every once in a while.
No hair anywhere
that you know of.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Yeah. Brandon, Alan, how you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. How about you?
Doing good. Ready to kick this thing off. We're gonna
originally when we would do this kind of thing where we'd do like a show and then we'd record another show after, we'd change clothes when we first started doing this podcasting thing so that people wouldn't think that we were, this is a different day. But now we're just like, who cares? Let's just keep going.
Like Brandon would literally go back upstairs and come down with another shirt.
Yeah.
I gave it away. Joining the last 30 seconds of the last one.
But yeah,
well,
so
what are we doing tonight?
We're gonna be doing a weekly Moon Knight review series. We're gonna finish this one, unlike Falcon and Winter Soldier. So we'll our goal is to record these things, I guess on Wednesday or Thursday night, so we can have them up Friday morning. Yep. Today's going to be a little different, but this episode's going to be a little different, just because we're playing catch up. But yeah, so hopefully going to have Britt and Alan on all these, and we'll break this thing out before we get started. Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the videos we're putting out. We are on Twitter at CapeCast Show, and we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/CiNEMACHiNE. Appreciate all the support that we get there. All right. I guess before we get started, do we want to give opinions without spoilers, or do we just want to jump in and
let's just go spoilers?
Full spoilers?
Yeah.
Full spoilers.
Yeah. Dive in.
Yeah. Spoilers. Bingo.
You got it.
So yeah, we had the first episode premiered this last week, The Goldfish Problem. It's directed by Justin Benson, Mohammedia Baron Moorhead. And the synopsis is Stephen Grant learns that he may be a superhero, but may also share a body with a ruthless mercenary. So as we usually
may be a superhero.
Yeah. Let's go around the room and get kind of general reactions, and then we can kind of dive into this thing. Guess first, Britt.
Yeah. So, from my side, this is one of those that I was excited to see in general. I don't know much about Moon Knight. He's one of those characters where I know him by appearance, but I haven't really read a lot of the backstory and things like that. Definitely just did the quick, 5-minute videos through YouTube prior to the series just to understand the character. But I thought it was cool. I was maybe expecting a little bit darker just because we've got the Netflix stuff coming over and things like that. But this is only episode 1, so we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Definitely more action towards the end of this episode than some of the other series that we got in kind of episode 1 with things like Loki and some of those and WandaVision. So excited they just kind of dove right in there with this 6-episode series, and I'm definitely looking forward to more because this episode, it was pretty good.
Nice. Alan?
Well, I was glad that Brett went first and said that he doesn't know much about the character. That way we don't all feel like dummies. But it was same for me. I don't know. I think tonally it may have been because most of the story on this episode was focused on Mark, and he's more of a lighthearted character. So I feel like that may have been some of the reason behind
Mark?
Steven?
I mean, Steven, not Mark, not Mark Spector. Steven. But Steven with a V. But no, I loved it. I thought it was by far the best as far as first episodes of any of the Disney Plus shows, as Marvel wise, anyway. So yeah,
nice,
good stuff.
Brandon, short, succinct.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I was already kind of sold with the whole with Oscar Isaac. I mean, whatever he's in, I'll watch. So, I definitely it kind of had like the trailers gave me Batman vibes, and I did see that this character was like, in the comics, I think he's like a billionaire playboy type character, but they removed that to kind of, I guess, stay away from the comparisons to Batman. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like the psychological element to this is interesting to me, and the Egyptian lore there is also really cool. But yeah, as far as like a first episode, I've seen it twice. There's some things that I kind of picked up on that I missed on the first go around, but yeah, it was really good. I'm excited to finish it. It is one of the Marvel Disney Plus shows that has gotten me like really excited to continue watching it, where the other ones were just like, okay, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'll track along with it, but I wasn't like over the moon on really any of those shows. But this one, I'm actually excited to see the next episode. So
nice.
No pun intended. Over the moon.
Hey-o.
Zing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is a fun one. Kind of with all these Disney Plus Marvel shows, it's been like I watched 3 episodes and I'm like, meh. Like, are we gonna do anything here like that I'm gonna be interested in? Like, very very slow developing shows, at least for my interests. But with this one, yeah, like right out of the gates, this is something that I'm pretty stoked about watching each week. I will say it kind of seems to be kind of more of a budget show compared to some of the other ones. That chase sequence on the mountain or whatever was not great.
Yeah. Definitely showed the budget there for sure.
Yeah, but it's the personality thing, Oscar Isaac being involved, Ethan Hawke. Like, I don't know. It was going to be hard to miss with this one. And it looks like Disney knows what they're doing once again.
It's also refreshing that it's a MCU project that's self-contained.
Yes. It helps me to going into it also. And Britt, we've talked about this before. Knowing like the stakes of Disney Plus shows compared to the stakes of the Marvel movies. Like, it's always hard to kind of like, I don't know. You're trying to keep it at a TV level, but you're creating shows with these characters that you've seen in motion picture things. Like, what's the impact on the major storyline? It's nice to be able to watch something that is contained.
Yeah. And knowing that Oscar Isaac only signed on for that 6 episode contract, he doesn't really feel that pressure of having to, lay off on anything.
I think he was even quoted as saying, I heard about the golden handcuffs.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things like you guys are mentioning. It feels refreshing because it's in its own little bubble. I mean, at least for now, right? I'm sure we'll get some kind of small crossover at some level, whether it's, some other street level or what we'll see in other Disney Plus later. But it definitely feels like it's not Loki, it's not Wanda, it's not, Hawkeye, where you're coming out of that universe and expectations are super high, right? It's a new character. We're figuring them out. And honestly, that's kind of what I found refreshing with like Guardians. When Guardians first came out, it was kind of its own thing, right? And again, it built into a universe, but when it first came out, you got to really experience that and not have to think about, oh, well, how's this connected? And so I can really see that what you guys are saying, like, it does feel kind of in its own world, at least for now. So
sure.
It also goes back to kind of what we were talking about yesterday with the whole like David F. Sandberg not wanting to direct these properties that are like so beholden. Like this is a character that most people don't know much about, so it gives it gives a lot more freedom for this to be like this is the definitive version, because this is the one that's going to live action. So nothing that's come before it. But
What you guys?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So kind of like to your point a minute ago, but like, so they definitely are steering a little bit away from the comics, right? So you mentioned that in the comics, this Steven personality is a billionaire, which funds the mercenary aspect of his other half of the superhero. And that's kind of one of those things where I think they did it not just because of like the Batman reference. I think they also tried to do it to kind of get rid of the Iron Man, Tony Stark perspective, the Iron Fist perspective, right? Where Danny Rand had all the money to do his thing and, karate punching people and stuff. So like, I think that they've kind of started to learn a little bit. And just like you're mentioning, like, I'm glad that they're not page for page doing these comic books. I expect the same for Miss Marvel, right? Like when that comes out, I think you'll have some comic book aspects, but I think they're going to do something very similar where it's not page for page. You get a little bit extra around that so that they have some, room to play.
Yeah. It also makes him a little more relatable, approachable as a character for the audience.
Especially
having him just be like a guy that works at this museum.
It also makes the multiple personalities thing feel a little bit more like emotional, I guess. Like he's just kind of getting by. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not as. I mean, they're like that sequence in the at the restaurant where he like was late on the date thing by multiple days, like, and he's talking that he's the waiter comes over and he orders a steak or whatever after the phone call, and like he's just kind of like staring off, like just like saying yes to whatever the waiter is, but you can tell like he's just like crushed inside.
The disbelief when the waiter says that it's Sunday. And he's like, no, like it just broke his heart, like that would. That was a really cool moment.
Steak on
and
basically,
Well, that's the thing that
vegan as well, isn't he?
Well, he's vegan, but that whole exchange, like him ordering like the best cut, like he didn't. The waiter could tell that he wasn't familiar with eating, like he had never eaten steak before, and so it's like, we'll make it well done because you need to work to like a medium or something.
Well, I guess that's another cool aspect as far as the multiple personality thing. I'm assuming that Mark is a omnivore versus a vegan as Steven is. So I guess that's something that we're going to find out. There you go.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I did love that they kind of threw you in from the beginning. Like they throw you in that he's having these like episodes,
the tape on the door,
cuffing himself to the bed and the sand around. And at first I was like, at first I didn't get, I thought it was like, man, they're already showing, like, I thought it was some like Egyptian sand, like forms whenever he turns into Moon Knight. But then I was like, oh, he's using it to track footprints if he's gotten up out of the bed. That was a cool, I love visual storytelling. We all, well, I won't speak for you, Britt. I'm sorry, I'm not going to speak for you. We all love Snyder stuff, and he's the king of visual storytelling.
I did like that. I told Mandy, I was like, oh man, he even used painter's tape so it wouldn't leave like sticky residue or something. Like I was like, man, that's so awesome.
There's actually a lot of cool aspects in that. If you guys didn't notice, so one thing I was actually talking to Kelly a little bit earlier when we were talking about it, and having explained there's 3 personalities. It's not just 2. It's not just him and Moon Knight. It's essentially him, Moon Knight, and Mark. So there's Steven, Mark, and Moon Knight. But if you watch, there's a lot of Trinity-esque stuff. So like when he looks at mirrors, there tends to be another mirror in the background or to the side. So there's a lot of seeing 3 people through there. There's some things around like the floors that he stops on with the elevator. He stops at floor 3, floor 5. And a few different aspects on that. So there's definitely a lot of like you miss this type stuff. And I'm sure, Brandon, as you went through and watched that the second time, you noticed some of those things in there. And I think what's going to be, or at least these are some of my predictions, but I think when we get to like episode 3 or episode 4, I think we're going to get like this huge flip from seeing Steven to like Mark, and maybe even like or what I'd like to see is kind of like a rewind. And maybe you see some of what was going on during those moments, those days and things he lost. Maybe you get to see what Mark was doing and how he got out to, that village and some stuff like that.
Dislocated jaw.
That was a really cool like element to have. It's very Memento in terms of having this like very like, they kind of like suck you out of like, he'll be like Steven, and then he wakes up and he's something else has happened. He's kind of trying to figure out what's going on, kind of thing. Yeah. That was a cool thing
Katie
to do instead
did
of
not like. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, I was just gonna, instead of like having that happen and maybe they'll do that later now that they have the Mark character established. Maybe they'll actually show the transition. But it was a cool way to have the audience experiencing this from his point of view up until the end of the show, of this episode.
I honestly wouldn't mind if they left that. Like, it's pretty powerful the way that they
it's true.
showed it, and it got the point across.
But you're also gonna, I mean, I think there's gonna be like I think it's a good thing to do for the first episode to introduce this concept, but going forward I think you're gonna want to lean into like show
no, I agree. I'm just saying like revisiting like that specific thing
seeing that angle that would be cool.
But yeah, I don't know, I was gonna say that Kate the way this episode starts out with Ethan Hawke's character smashing that glass and putting it in his shoes, Katie was like really like grossed her out. She's like, what is happening? What? Why?
Oh yeah. Mandy like put her head down. She was like, nope, I cannot watch this. I cannot watch this. Like, she was done with it right then. I had to like, okay, it's done. You can watch now. You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
But no, Cal actually talked about
so Cal actually was like, I'm gonna put some glass in my shoes.
Cal was like ready to rock and roll. Transcending here. But no, Britt, I was gonna ask you, I'm not familiar at all. Like, you're probably at least a little more than me. Who is the Egyptian I guess god that
Khonshu.
How you pronounce that?
It's Khonshu. It's spelled a K, starting with KH.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, his character, Cal was saying that reminded him of Venom, the Tom Hardy movies. Like hearing the voice in his head.
That was one thing I didn't like about this.
The idiot's in charge. Or whatever.
I'm on the same page, man. Like I didn't. I think the reason I didn't like it was the voice sounds too similar to Venom's voice. Like, I think if it was a different, and I know it's a different actor, I know all of that, but like, it sounds so similar. Like, that's all I could think about was Venom talking in his head.
I just didn't like just didn't like the mixing. Like, it was just too like.
Well, and the tenor of the guy, like it.
It was
too
weird.
normie. Like he didn't.
Egyptian.
So
it didn't feel like Egyptian ancient.
Did you guys have any of y'all watched Mythic Quest?
No,
one episode.
I've seen one episode. Yeah,
I watched the first season.
The guy that they hired, the old guy they hired to write the game, CW Longbottom. He's the voice. He's the voice on Moon Knight. So Mandy actually picked that out. So
him and Oscar Isaac actually had a movie together a while back. So this is kind of their reunite as well. But it was one of those, like, if it's going to be the Egyptian god, like I just felt like it needed to be more like, I don't know, raspy, old, ancient sounding, not like.
It's like they were going for like the mixing was kind of leading you to believe they were trying to like go for this, like, this is very much in his head thing, but it was very over the top in his head. Like, the track was just dominant. Like, it was just a lot.
I would just like rather him like either like speak Arabic with subtitles or speak like instead of this normal sounding.
It's like kind of what with Star Wars, like what we talked about with the kind
A lot of the alien characters.
Yeah, or even if they had
voices.
even if they had led with Arabic with subtitles, and then you start hearing it as English, but because that's the way he hears it or whatever, something like that. But I did like the moments where he's trying to give back the scarab, and his hand closes, and he's like, I'm not doing this. That was you.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite, like Mark transition moment was when cool. He like wakes up or comes back and he's just like blood in his hand. He's like looking around.
Yeah, that was great. And the Venom comparisons are there too with the scarab scene, but still not as glaring as the VO in his head. In terms of just tonally not fitting, to me, just didn't fit. And that's what I mean. I don't dislike humor, but I just want it to feel like less on the nose, and a lot of that, like, oh, the idiots, whatever he says, like that kind of stuff. Like, I can do without that.
That's going to be the Disney stuff that they're not going to get away from those. That's things. That's the things you're going to have to look past.
Similar to that, I wasn't a huge fan of some of the needle drops and stuff they had in this episode. When I watched it the second time, I counted there were 5 of them.
Right.
It just, I don't know, like there's ways to do it. I just tonally, it just kind of felt weird to me. And then maybe it won't happen as much as throughout the series, but
I agree. Those were a little too, not necessarily on the nose, some of them were, but they were just a little, to me, a needle drop can sometimes be good, but it can't be jarring and pull you out, or be injected to add like this fun vibe to something that's not supposed to be super fun.
Like that, I didn't like it in the freeway sequence.
No,
I was just like this. I was watching it, especially the second time I was watching it, like with the mindset of like, okay, if this was like Score or something, it would feel so much more intense to me than
Well, how did y'all think? To me, I felt like how they introduced Ethan Hawke's character, the cult leader character, having it be, it felt very jarring in terms of he ends up in this setting where this cult's kind of gathering in daylight. The daylight element to it felt weird to me. Like, I just don't, the nature of what they were doing in broad daylight, I felt like maybe that was a COVID thing that they were like, we got to film this because we got a lot of people, we got to be outside. And so maybe they didn't do it in some dark.
I mean, there's still ways to, even if it's light out, there's ways to shoot it so it looks like it's dark.
It felt more like, to me, it felt more like they were trying, like he was trying to come across as not, the character was trying to come across as like a messiah figure, like he was trying to, the more daylight aspect of it, and then you saw the darker tone at the end when Mark finally came out. That whole museum scene, it got dark. Everything was dark. It was like I said, the tone changed when the story shifted. So I really think that had something to do with it.
And that sequence, I love that sequence at the end.
Yeah. I think the other thing about the daylight is I think it's trying to also like call back to like pharaohs. So if you think about like in Egypt and stuff, you had the pharaohs that, or the pharaohs and the leaders that were the ones that would communicate with the gods, like for the Egyptians. And so they would be out in public, walking around doing all their stuff. And I think it's kind of a nod to that because he's essentially that prophet of the other god. And so he's not doing the judging. The God's doing the judging through him. Yeah. So I think that's some of that, of kind of like the feel of the daytime. But I mean, I could also see that being kind of the dark nightclub, whatever scene where they're doing it with his cult or whatever. But I think that was kind of the idea, is very public facing, and he has pretty much that whole town under his power, essentially.
Kind of all brainwashed there.
And I know that we talked about it before when they were creating the show, but Ethan Hawke was quoted saying that he kind of based this character on David Koresh.
You definitely got that feel for sure. So he just needed the glasses, man. He just needed the glasses, and he had to pull them out.
Right. I'm very interested to see where this thing goes. I love. I think Oscar Isaac is great in this role. I love the duality that he has.
Great. Yeah,
he and Mark,
Yeah.
and especially in that
good.
last scene with the mirrors.
Yeah.
I just
The shot was awesome.
that.
You couldn't see either of them in the mirrors, like the infinite.
They were
mirrors
all moving around in different directions.
Yeah.
It was really well executed. That's where the budget didn't fit. Like it felt like that was like, the budget came into play in the chase scene, but
I'm hoping that this series does kind of like make that transition to being primarily dark. Because I think you'll be able to hide the budget a lot better. But yeah, that chase sequence, that car was like rolling down the hill. It's just like a drop shadow that's like falling.
Corridor Crew is going to be doing an episode on that sequence for sure.
Yeah, I love the bathroom sequence, like you guys were talking about, where it goes from Steven being terrified, I'm gonna die, to the I don't know, hellhound, whatever that was, clawing, trying to get out of the bathroom, and then them taking over, and
and that was awesome. I talked to Brandon about this sequence a little bit after I watched it the first time, and I had a little bit of an issue with like how quickly it all happened. Like it felt like it was like, all right, we got to wrap this up, got to hit our time limit. But on my second viewing, it aged well for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I felt the same when that episode ended. I was like, are you serious? This is how you're going to leave this, But the second time it just
felt like it was like perfect. They like hit like some minute mark. Oh God, we've got like a minute left. Like we got let's go. The second time through it for whatever reason it worked better for me. I don't know if just because I knew what to expect or what, but
yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see with it being 6 episodes, where it goes, because we've kind of gotten used to the multi-episode premiere. But with it only being 6 episodes, we're getting the one. I did feel like we needed that second one just to kind of like roll right into and learn some more about Mark and the other aspects. So I guess that's what I'm excited about, this week to continue that on. But
I'm glad that they're doing
it was pretty cool.
When it comes out during the first 2 episodes.
And I would love to see like we talked about before with the tone being lighter, more daylight stuff with Steven and it being darker with Mark. I'd love to see that tone carry on through the series. And I have that definite difference in the characters, I guess.
Quite enjoyed the score when it was there. So I hope they lean on that more.
That whole bathroom sequence, the score there when he's changing into Moon Knight, that was
and even some
really cool stuff.
Steven stuff. I enjoyed the score, how that was scored as well.
And that bathroom scene with the werewolf, just kind of for reference, that's kind of the first appearance of Moon Knight when he's fighting a werewolf. So that's kind of the reason why we got that character there. So
about that,
nice.
Yeah.
What are those things called? I don't think they're werewolves. Are they? They're like
it's like a jackal, but I don't.
Of Anubis.
Yeah.
Like they're
jackals or something. I don't know.
Yeah. That was a cool scene. One of the gripes that I had, if I'm going to give any gripes, other than the ones that I've already given.
What? I actually didn't like this show.
It was kind of.
You know what really grinds my gears.
You know what?
It was kind of like
we're not gonna finish this one either. Brandon's gonna come out, guys. Episode 3.
It was a little heavy-handed how they had like the people that kept like in the museum. They were like reveal, oh, we were part of the cult. They would show their tattoos like very like in your face, like. Maybe just
this sounds like, so much. This sounds so much like an Al criticism.
No, dude, that was so like
so much like an Al
they could have done that so much more subtle than in your face. When we're talking about visual storytelling,
I agree with you. I'm just saying the way you phrased it, like it was just I don't know. It was just in your face. Like I didn't like it.
Well, I'm just saying they could have had like just have it peeking out from us, like not like, hey, you see this? I got a tattoo. I'm with these guys.
It's like
I know we've been working together for years, but I'm actually one of these guys.
It's like It's like tax season. Everybody's getting their money back and getting their tattoos and showing them off. Here, check it out. I just got a new piece. Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah. I just thought it was on the nose. And, some things like that are just
I
like,
get you.
come on. I know it. I know what it's, I know it reads to me as we're not trusting our audience enough to figure this out on their own. And we're going to put it in their face. And I prefer it when it's.
I hate to say this. I would agree with you for most, like if this is something DC, but it's Disney. And like, I don't know,
DC's audience is
their audience.
I know.
No, what I'm saying is like if this was a Snyder thing, something that we like, I know maybe unpopularly think is a little bit more like high level, storytelling.
It's a little more highbrow comic book storytelling.
Like these shows are very much pumped out for mass,
Sure.
Like, I don't know.
Which is why.
So I like going into it in my mind, like I have an expectation that I am not expecting like.
I know. I should also keep that in the back of my mind that they're not going to approach this. They're not going to go full tilt, like dark, gritty, completely like a little more,
I get
They're not doing Daredevil
driven.
Yeah.
Highbrow, so to speak. They're going to have some of the things because they do. This is a big, property for them. Not property, but like it's going on Disney, so it's got to reach more than the just the people like me that would prefer it just to be like very like dark, gritty, more visual.
Yeah.
Say more by saying less type stuff.
And I know that we talked about it yesterday on the cast, but we about the blood, but you didn't have to see the brutality, but I was surprised at the amount of blood that you did see on for it being the first episode. That kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting to see that level.
Yeah, that street,
especially with the new parental blocks that they put into place. I kind of thought they might save some of that stuff.
Yeah, the street scene and when he blacks out in the car and he holds the gun. He's holding the gun when he wakes up, and the guy's like,
the guy's in the back,
and then
the corner, and then the body like rolls out, and you can see like the green screen still behind him.
When he jumps onto the truck, the ice cream truck from the other truck, you can see the halo around him where they had to rotoscope him out or whatever. Green screen.
I
feel like I'm watching like I feel like I was watching like Star Wars remasters of TIE fighters in space where you can see the squares.
I think what'll be interesting with it is, to your point on these things, is like how much they're going to invest in these new shows, right? So we knew they were going to put a bunch of money in Wanda. We knew we were going to put a bunch of money in Loki because those stars cost a fortune to put them in there. But when we look at this one, Miss Marvel, I mean, there's She-Hulk, right? We've got a lot of them coming up pretty soon. It'll be surprising to see how much they're going to put into them. And with this, I'm curious if, when they're shooting for the masses, right? Like they're kind of having to hold a lot of people's hand, especially with these characters that nobody knows anything about. So that's kind of where I worry a little bit, just in general. Just because, all these new characters coming out, nobody knows who they are, and they don't get a giant budget like Guardians or like any of these movies. And they kind of have to figure out how they're going to do this over less than 6 hours, 5 hours, something like that.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
Well, I know we want to try and keep these relatively short, and we'll be back talking about all this stuff each week, so we can have some closing thoughts. Anybody have anything specific they want to touch on before we jet?
No, just excited for the next episode. Genuinely
excited.
I
am too. Yep.
Yeah,
great. This is me, Ryan. Saying that I'm excited for a Marvel show.
Yeah, this isn't a wait and see thing. Like I am like.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, I could just stay up a few more hours and just watch this thing. Right. So, I mean, it was that good. So
yeah. No, I'm definitely looking forward to it. They've got the preview for the next episode out, and without going into all of that, it's got some of the scenes with the other gods, so there's at least some history or whatever that they're kind of showing off. So you see like
we love history lessons, right, Brandon?
Yeah. So
yeah.
So it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see what they do with the different gods and how they introduce them, and you know how those are going to play a role in the series. So
cool. I keep seeing for people that have already screened either most of the show or part of it, that episode 4 is like the episode where it has like the make sure you're there for episode 4.
That seems to be the case for every Disney show. Episode 4, that's the one.
That was Wanda, right? They gave us 3, but it was really 4 that you needed to see.
Hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and notification bell so you can stay up to date on all the videos we're putting out. We are on Twitter at CapeCast Show, and we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/CiNEMACHiNE. Appreciate all the support that we get there. Well, gentlemen, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Man.
Excited
Looking
to do
forward
this.
to it.
Yeah, and complete the whole show.
Let's do it, Brandon. Let's do the whole thing, Brandon.
As long as it doesn't crap the bed, then I'll commit to it. Which is not really a commit.
Non-committal.
We'll wait and see.
Stay tuned.
But so far, so good.
All right, gentlemen. Later on.
See you guys.
So long.